Here in Washington, D.C. at the 2024 Information Technology Industry Council's Intersect Tech and Policy Summit, gathering industry experts. And I'm here with one of the best experts, right? Barbara Humpton, the CEO of Siemens USA. Thank you so much for the time. I know you're very busy, and so I really appreciate this conversation. And happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
Absolutely.
It's so wonderful to be with you.
Thank you so much. Well, let's start there, Black History Month. I always ask people, what person or individuals stood out to you outside of the notables? We always hear the notables, but someone in the tech field or something else. What person stood out to you that's Black in this country?
Katherine Jackson.
Katherine Jackson.
You probably saw the movie Hidden Figures. I had a picture of her on my office wall for many years. Wow. What an inspiration, a computer. And the day and age when they used gifted mathematicians to do the work that now, yes, gets done autonomously by computers. Yeah. But those women who were the mathematicians behind the exploration of space, that's an inspiration. Yeah. I saw the movie, phenomenal movie. My daughter was watching with me, so very inspirational. I'm glad you said that. I rarely hear her name, so I'm glad you brought that up. What I understand is in the late years of her life, she was living in close to my hometown. I actually grew up in Lexington, Virginia, and she was just over the mountains in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Wow. And, it's amazing to think that these kinds of legends live among us. Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, you're a legend too, right? You're among us and working for the tech company that few people don't exist, right? People do not, Let's tell them about it. We have to. People don't know enough about Siemens. I was asking my aunt, we talk all the time, and I said, she says, I heard of it, but I don't know what they do. I said, they only make everything, right? The train I'm ready to get on, the rails and everything. So much to talk about. But here again at the ITI conference, what's been the biggest takeaway for you at this event? Well, at this event, listen, we're dealing at a moment when the real and the digital world are coming together. Yeah. And we know there's a lot of opportunity. This is one of the most exciting times for anybody to be in business because of what can be. Mm-hmm. But there's also that flip side. The way I like to say it is, from the first time a human picked up a rock and used it as a tool, it could also be used as a weapon. Yeah. And AI, cyber, it's very much part and parcel. So today, what we're doing at Siemens is working on bringing technology with purpose, looking for those positive uses in very controlled settings. And what today's event was all about is bringing together policymakers with practitioners and making sure that, hey, we're all looking at the same canvas together. Yeah, AI, obviously a big topic of discussion here at this event. But when you walk in the home, does everybody just bow down because, Siemens, the backbone of the nation's economy, right? You said it when we were No, you said it. People don't know.
I believe it too.
People don't know just how vital Siemens is. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I did not know. Well, listen, for those company.
People who don't know, tell them a few things that Siemens makes that they may not know, that they use in their everyday life.
Well, for 176 years, imagine this. Yeah. Siemens was founded, it would have been a garage startup if garages had been invented, right? But in 1847, Werner von Siemens was working on some big problems, like how do you transmit electricity? How do you transmit communications, the telegraph? And then ultimately built an electric car. That was, over a century ago. And what are we doing today? We're focused in infrastructure, in industry, in transportation. These are typical physical world areas where suddenly you can bring the power of the digital. Yes. Now you combine the real world and the digital world, and we can make all of the things around us, the Internet of Things, make it more powerful. Now, think about those technology giants who today you talk about them as the Magnificent Seven or the Fine Five, however you describe them. And you think about, well, wait a minute, they were dealing with the Internet of People. The Internet of Things is orders of magnitude larger than the Internet of People. Yeah. That's where Siemens has been focused. Watch for us in this tech space. Yeah, listen, I'm looking, right? Curiosity and, you say initiative, the only skills you need to cultivate. I love that. Take me back to your path right fast, right? You graduated from Wake Forest, right? Yeah. Worked at Lockheed Martin, and then you went on and you got this job offer from IBM and you took it, right? That's right.
That moment, take me back to that, Barbara Humpton. What were you thinking? and how were you able to turn this into a role now that you're sitting in CEO?
Well, hey, so when I got started, I was going to be a math professor like my parents.
Remember,
And so then to get, it was IBM who offered me the first job. And I thought, you know what, as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to continue to explore this. And IBM sold their business to Lockheed Martin under new management. By the way, that's a model for world peace.
Yeah.
Because when you change management, you expect things to change dramatically. And the fact is, business people everywhere are trying to do right by customers and, you know, think and invent. And so it was wonderful to see under new management still achieving the mission. But years later, when I got this opportunity, I had been told I wasn't executive management material. CEO, absolutely out of the question. But that was a time when enthusiasm, a big smile, those weren't necessarily the assets you need in business. I got this invitation to come to Siemens, and the whole idea was, hey, Barb, you've been dealing with the U.S. federal government. At Lockheed Martin, I got to help build the global positioning system. I helped the FBI with biometrics. I helped Customs and Border Protection with cargo security. All of those things, the experience of large-scale system development for the world's biggest customer, Siemens said, what do you think that the government needs from our portfolio? And the answer was everything. So not ever expecting to take on an executive role, I came in to help the government get what they needed out of this portfolio. Turns out I got to know every inch of this corporation, you know, literally hunting for how could we help the Navy? How could we help the Air? What could be helpful to Department of Homeland Security? Got to know this whole portfolio, and 6 years ago now was invited to take on this role as CEO of Siemens USA.
Yeah, we're talking 50,000 plus employees.
Yeah. Think of it as 45,000 roughly across the U.S.
25 billion revenue.
Growing all the time. And actually, the thing I'm maybe most proud of is the amount of investment that's been happening in the U.S. Just last year, $500 million as we expand our operations. Do you know there's a boom going on in data center construction because everybody wants to use AI?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Data centers need electricity. So our team that does electrical products down in outside of Dallas and now in Fort Worth, we've been expanding their operations. Did you know that people do like to travel by rail? And we are full in our Sacramento rail facility. So we've we've broken ground and are building a new facility in Lexington, North Carolina, so that we can continue to build trains and expand with the demand that is ongoing.
Absolutely. I definitely want to get into the high-speed rail discussion, but you mentioned data centers, right?
Yes.
You're from Virginia. I was just talking to Jason Oxman, the CEO, president of ITI, and we were talking about data centers. What is the future of them, right? I know Data Alley is in Virginia, right? And all of the internet, the traffic of the world, 2/3 of the nation's internet traffic goes through that. But we were talking about where they're going to pop up next. Are they going to pop up in inner cities because we have commercial real estate issues and that can get bigger? Will you start to see data centers there? What is the future of data centers? Where do you see this going?
Well,
because you're going to need them.
Yeah, here's question number one. Where's the power? And I've talked to data center constructors who say, wow, we just built some data centers in another state and we consumed the entire new capacity of their nuclear power plant. And there's further demand. So look to where the power is. Wherever there's excess power, we have the opportunity to make use of that power with data centers.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think of data centers, people may not know what they do, what they are. What would you tell someone that was on the street, that came up to you, knew who you were, and says, hey, I've been hearing this stuff about data centers. What are they?
It's data centers is where we have the computers that take in all of the communication, the data that you're processing day to day, go through all of the processes that get you the answers that you need and transmit them back out into the world. So think of them as very, very large computers.
Yeah, as that's sitting neighborhoods, right? Again, Virginia has Data Alley. One of the things I'm definitely interested in is the future of high-speed rails. I know that you were talking, and I believe 2021, you were telling Goldman Sachs about the trains to nowhere, right? Building these trains where you put stations out in the middle of nowhere, because with a train station comes what? Development, right? Yes. Where are we at with that? Because I used to live in Texas, and I lived in San Antonio, and I'm thinking, man, a high-speed rail to get from San Antonio to Dallas, Dallas to Houston, Houston back to San Antonio to Austin, it would be phenomenal. A lot of just red tape, a lot of politics. I know you're a fan of the public-private partnership coming together, and you feel that it's going to be more private that gets this thing rolling. Where are we with high-speed rails, and where are we going to be? Because this country desperately needs them.
Yeah, I am excited about where the country's going right now. First of all, that recognition that we need it.
Yeah.
Think about what we're trying to do with sustainability. If you bring more cities closer together via high-speed rail, city pairs where today people feel they have to fly, suddenly they could be traveling in clean, efficient rail. That's the future. And you're right, the equation for rail is very much a real estate play. From its very inception, you think about the very first railroads that were put across this country, people actually built hotels. They created destinations so the passengers would have a reason to travel those rails. Now, in the intervening years, it's been cargo that has paid for our rail infrastructure. Now we have some private owners stepping forward, and I'll give you the example of Brightline in Florida. They've gone from Miami to up the coast, and then at Fort Lauderdale at Palm Beach, they make the turn and go to Orlando, and it's financially viable in partnership with a larger set of concessions, maybe real estate development that gets done. So same thing that's happening now. What we're looking to is the Los Angeles to Las Vegas connection. Very excited that will be a brilliant example that can be then replicated in other locations across the country.
How far are we from seeing that up and running?
I think that we are close to an award, and then we'll see a couple of years of build.
2030?
Yes. Let's talk about high-speed rail by 2030.
I love that. Listen, high-speed rail. I mean, listen, Philadelphia, I want to see it. It's just, I'm looking as I'm coming even into D.C., and I'm thinking like, oh my God, we just need more high-speed rails. But again, in 2021, again, I get something that's dear to you. You made this quote. You said talent is pretty evenly distributed across all the humanity. So if that's true, why are you only looking in certain places for it? And here I lead into the DEI pipeline, right?
Yes.
We appear to be in this, I don't know, people describe it as a war on diversity. I don't know if I will go that far with it, but that's what some people think. You being a woman, one of the few women CEOs in this country, in the world, what's your take on that? Where are we in 2024? And specifically with Black people, Black women, manufacturing, engineering are two areas and two sectors that we don't see enough people of color there.
Love it.
What is Siemens doing, and what about the DI pipeline that maybe companies can replicate?
Well, all right. So first, let me take this out of the realm of politics and put it into the realm of good business.
Yes.
So, yeah, I know politics will get noisy about all kinds of things. My question is anybody against a good, solid, long-term plan? Is anybody against making business decisions that are going to ensure the long-term health of a company? No. So let's talk about the need for talent. There is, all around the world, we're dealing with societies that are aging and are actually maybe even shrinking. That means fewer and fewer people to actually come to work and get jobs done.
Yeah.
Now, all right, now couple that with the fact that a company like Siemens, we're actually working in critical sectors. So we have to go everywhere looking for the talent that we're going to need. Now, is talent being prepared for the kind of work that we offer? In the past, I was told all the time, especially when I started at Siemens, everybody needs a degree in electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. Really? Oh. Really? Is that really what's going to be required? We actually did a study. We brought, at our research and development headquarters in Princeton, New Jersey, we invited in professors from the surrounding universities. And we said, we want to talk to you all. You all are inventing the future. Tell us what are the critical skills for the future. I was expecting data science and artificial intelligence and things like that. No. What they said was curiosity and initiative. Yeah. Now, those aren't my words. That's from the experts in the academic world. And this makes so much sense to me because you think about how fast technology is changing. What you study when you're 20, how relevant is that going to be when you're in the fourth decade of your career like I am? I'm entering my fifth decade, by the way, just full disclosure. So when you get into that world, you realize it's changing so fast. The only two things you need to know how to do are to figure out what you need to know and then go learn it. Yeah. So curiosity and initiative, learn about it and get off the couch and go work on it. Yeah. Those are the critical skills we're looking for. Now, one more thing I'll tell you, Jabari. This world that we've been creating was highly technical. and you'd look at the displays that go onto the automation controllers, and you'd go, wow, that was actually designed by an electrical engineer. I need to pull out my slide rule to read the, the meters that are on the display. What if we could take all that data, but now package it in a user interface that feels more like your iPhone, or maybe feels more like your favorite computer game? What if running a factory could feel more like playing a game? Yeah. Well, I think when we do that, it's going to open up the aperture to who we can bring in to these workplaces. Yeah. Now, I've seen amazing stories all across Siemens. I love to tell these stories. So the team helped me start a podcast called The Optimistic Outlook. Mm-hmm. And it's been fun to interview employees. One had started as an apprentice when he came into manufacturing just saying, I have to find a way to support my young family. And while he was working for us, he started reading and just pursued his own personal education. He applied for a supervisor's job, so on and so forth. Now he's a factory manager for Siemens in Texas. Wow. And I think, gosh, from somebody who was worried he might not make it to running a factory, there are stories like this to be told all across this country.
Okay. A big part of it is exposure, though, right? A lot of people may not know that they can work for Siemens. Again, people don't even know Siemens exists. Again, the technology company how do they find out? Because, one of the things I asked, I was on Amazon's campus and I'm looking at the automation, the robotics that they have, the drones that they're developing that are going to be delivering packages. They're already testing this out in Texas and other cities, right?
Yes.
I'm impressed with what I see. And I was asking one of their employees, I said, if you were in the inner city and you were in front of a third grade class or fourth grade, and you had to tell these kids to prepare for something, tell their parents to prepare your kids for what would it be? He's an engineer. What's your question to that? What's your answer to that?
I answered this, and my global CEO nearly choked when I said it once. Tell them to play their video games.
Wow. You're going to get me in trouble at home. I told my daughter she can't play her video game.
But think about it. Learning the hand-eye coordination that is going to be the key to working in spatial computing.
Wow.
Right? There's a whole world that is only going to be open to people who are comfortable with dealing with technology. So it's okay to let our kids play a bit. Now, we got to avoid addiction, that's for sure. But let's play. And by the way, why can't life be more about play?
Yeah, I wish I could play more games. Is there any game that you would say, hey, tell your kid to play this game?
Oh, I don't know.
Minecraft? That's my daughter's on that.
It's funny that you say that because I was talking to the CEO of an aerospace company. And she told me this story that she and her engineers were reviewing different engineering technology packages that they might consider working, CAD/CAM, how they were going to bring all these new tools in. And her son kept knocking at the door going, Mom. She said, sorry, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I can't, Mom. And when she finally was able to turn to her 11-year-old and say, what did you want to show me? He was playing Minecraft. And he said, my friends and I we built this new ship. And look, we're able to. And she said, my heavens, he's doing exactly what I want my engineers to do.
Wow.
This is the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that I got to tell my daughter she can play every day. I've been preaching and not, but then again, I play Madden and I play my Xbox all the time. And you're right, I like my hand-eye coordination. I think it's very, very
I'm not really good at it. Every now and then the team will put, virtual reality goggles on me. And pretty soon I'm like, breaking down a locomotive.
Well, listen, right fast and let you get out of here because you're a CEO, Barbara. I know you're very busy. A couple of things more serious, the energy crisis in Europe. Obviously Siemens is a conglomerate. They are all over the world.
Yeah.
What are we seeing in Europe right now? They're having problems because of two wars, right, going on, mainly over Ukraine and Russia, but it's creating this energy issue. And I know Siemens is at the forefront of electrification and really pushing towards energy. What are we looking at in Europe and how they're going to get fixed?
In Europe, it's incredible the way the government and industry have worked together to make the most of what they've got. But this is also one of the reasons why the U.S. market is so attractive. Relatively reliable, stable, affordable power, along with people, et cetera. So the U.S. continues to be a focus market for all of us. What's going on in Europe is real attention to how to work together to solve these problems. And Siemens is bringing some critical tools. Do you know software may be the answer?
Wow.
We've got to make better use of every electron that gets produced. So our colleagues over at Siemens Energy are busy trying to bring new production online. And in the meantime, we're helping with things like microgrids, ways to distribute that power so that we make the best possible use of it while new capacity is built.
Yeah. Another area that I'm very, very focused on is Africa, right? What are you looking at in that continent? Nigeria is going through some problems with their currency. There's always internal, rifts that's happening throughout that continent. But 2063 is their grand plan, right? I mean, and if you have to look at the world, China, India is there. Africa's right behind it for people. You talk over 200 million people alone in some countries. And so what are we looking at in Africa? And what is Siemens excited about in that?
Well, I'll tell you what we're excited about, and we're excited about it all over the world, and it's globalization. This idea that, we're ever more global when it comes to ideas, technologies, but then what about giving people locally the tools they need to be self-sufficient? So something I've talked about with the Department of Commerce is the idea of taking the tools of modern industry, the digital twin, the AI-enabled tools that can actually then be transferred into an emerging economy. Let an economy just leapfrog the old-fashioned industrial revolution that we went through. Now make use of the best with much more localized additive manufacturing, et cetera, using the resources they have at hand. I think we are about to see a real emergence of exciting new economies on the African continent.
Yeah, in Africa, you mean?
In Africa.
Yeah.
Everywhere around the world, but in particular Africa.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to take, say, battery manufacturing to Africa. Yeah. And we're working with partners who are saying, there are natural resources available that, then we've got the ability to design and construct. We're giving them the tools of digital twins so they can plan all of that out before ever setting foot, without ever having to, deal with the limited resources available. But then ultimately, when they building a productive operation.
Yeah. Is there one country that you're excited about?
We have folks all over the place.
And Africa, is one country you're excited about there?
Oh, one of my closest colleagues is actually located in South Africa and is then, serving much of the region. Our colleagues in Siemens Energy have been very, very focused in Nigeria and other.
I know, they're great. So Nigeria and South Africa, two places.
Are just two of the places where we've had teams focused.
Good. Get you out of here on this, right? Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. And I love this book because it teaches you how to get to good to great. I don't know if you've read it before.
I've read it.
That's phenomenal. Then
get on the bus,
about.
Man.
Absolutely.
Get the right people on the bus.
The difference between a good CEO and a great.
I work for a great CEO today. Roland Busch is the CEO of Siemens globally, and he's said to all of us 4 priorities: customer impact, technology with purpose, a growth mindset, being curious and taking initiative, and empowerment. That last one is the hardest one. I hear a lot of people talk about it, but it is fabulous to work for a leader who says, I don't know, Barbara, you'd know better. Tell me, what should we do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a way to engage the leaders in your organization and get everybody jazzed about building the future of the company.
Yeah, well, listen, a bonus one, right? Because at Forbes BLK, and it's a community we have under the Forbes umbrella there, and there's a lot of women that are involved in that community, specifically Black women. Empower them, right? Go back to that Barbara who got the job at IBM, right? What advice would you tell a young woman that is pioneering her career, right? She sees this role, she got a job over here, she may not get it. What advice do you give today's women on how to navigate maybe even the next decade in this digital world that we're in?
First, you are enough. And second, focus only on what you want.
That's coming from Barbara Humpton, right? I can't say anything else about it. Siemens CEO, USA. Thank you so much for the time, and I hope you're coming back to the next ITI event.
I'm here.
Yeah, the third one. That's good. We'll look to join it, and we have that high-speed rail thing we got to talk about.
We'll see you on the party train between Las Vegas and Los Angeles.
Absolutely. Barbara, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Jordan.